our presenter will be presenting to us, just a brief sharing, is entitled Chinese Characters That Point to Genesis Story. So this is the title of her presentation. And as most people living in Japan know, Chinese characters are used in Japan, right? But many Japanese people are not aware that some of these characters convey biblical message. So our sister, she is one of our, of course, she's one of our members at TIC. Sister Kuriko Maeki will share how these ancient letters contain the gospel message as she writes them live. So most of our missionaries in China and Japan have used such knowledge to reach people, and those kanji help Japanese people realize that Christianity is not a mere Westerners' religion that came to Asia recently, but God's message had been built in ancient Chinese characters long time ago. So I hope that we could learn more about them, and this learning about them can help solidify our faith in God's words and help us understand the Japanese culture and how to reach out in them. So more of this from Sister Kuriko Maeki, but before she will present us, she is also going to render and offer us special music.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sabbath.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can hear me. Oh, okay. Well, I guess my first time doing the special music live. I guess I've been recording. So I've been advised to do the a cappella. So I'm just gonna sing. The song is titled "I Could Never Have Imagined." All alone within my fantasies I live. No one seemed to want the things I had to give. Just another person on an overcrowded earth. Then I met you and you showed me how to have a real rebirth. I could never have imagined the changes you have made within my life. The way you took away my hopelessness, the way you opened up my eyes, I could never have imagined the charming world you taught me how to see. Thank you, Jesus, for all you've done for me. 話し相手もいなくて一人悲しみに疲れ人より勝る力もなくこんな私をもあなたは捉えこんな私をもあなたは救われた私の苦しみ知り心の目を開きこんな夢のような世界見せてくれた神様感謝します I could never have imagined the changes you have made within my life. The way you took away my hopelessness, the way you opened up my eyes, I could never have imagined the charming world you taught me how to see. Thank you, Jesus, for all you've done for me.
Amen.
Okay, thank you. Let me get situated here to get ready for this afternoon's program. So let's see, it's a little bit dark. Okay, this will do it. Okay, so after this song, I am about to. Okay, I've done this a Zoom seminar before about a different topic, and I somehow couldn't share the screen, so I have the PowerPoint presentation here, and so it's kind of a not so techy, but I'm gonna show it to you like this. Is this mirror image or is just me only? Can you read it properly? Needs to be
Looks
lined.
pretty good.
Can
A
you
little bit
see?
more to the side.
It's good.
Move
This
it to your left. There you go.
Okay, so yeah, that's good. Okay, that's tricky because I can't read it. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna just move. Okay, so I'm about to start. Let's do play. You know what? Before we play the slideshow, let us pray. Okay. Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for the Sabbath afternoon. Though we are not physically together, we're together in spirits, and we're coming here to learn more about you and how you've left your messages clearly in the Bible, but also we can see some trace of it in the Chinese characters as well. And as we discover these things, please help us to see what you've done and help us use this knowledge to reach out to the people, especially where we are now in Japan. Bless everyone who are watching this, those who are planning on watching this. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
So I was asked to share about this Chinese characters and how that points to Genesis story, and I added a gospel message because it's mainly Genesis, but we can see the gospel message in Chinese characters as well. Now I have to apologize, I'm not really an expert on this subject, so I've been learning, Chinese characters, or what we call kanji in Japan, in education and how it developed, but how it relates with Christianity, this is something I've been learning this past week. I heard about it when I was in America, and I think it's even more popular among actually missionaries or Westerners who are thinking about reaching to Asian people. And us Asians, we grew up not knowing that they are related. We thought, it's 100% Asian and didn't have much to do with Bible histories and so on. Anyways, let us go on and I will share what I know. Okay, so why should we learn Chinese characters? Well, as you know, the Chinese civilization is one of the oldest continuous civilization. And, like US has only history of 400 years. Japan is longer, but not as long as China. And I don't know about other countries, but it has long, long history, as you know. And you have to notice that it's continuous. Some of the ancient civilization, have thrived and went away, but we can see China is still carrying on strong. So it contains a lot of things, carries a lot of old history that connects back with the biblical, the links with the biblical history. Anyway, the second point, the ancient civilization after the biblical worldwide flood and the Tower of Babel had retained some knowledge about Genesis stories. Yes, so mostly Genesis stories before the Tower of Babel. And you know why, right? Because until then, they only had one language and they were able to communicate. But you know what happened at the Tower of Babel. They suddenly got confused because God threw in different languages. Now it was a curse, but it's interesting to learn about different languages. I love learning about languages. So you can benefit from learning other languages, right? So even though we can't communicate fully as we used to be able to and have to learn foreign languages, but we can find from Chinese letters what it retained, because some of those stories that was found in Genesis and ideas and concepts, it was carried to Asia, and things like the flood story. I'm going to move on to the third point. Noah flood account found on every continent except Antarctica, yeah, and in many cultures throughout the history of men. And I learned about this in college when I was at Weimar. I had to take a class that was called Science and Creation. And so I've seen a chart like this. It wasn't exactly like this, but it shows the map of sample world flood myth. And most like the Bible is, of course, in this Middle East area. And somewhat like the Bible, the boat lands on the mountain, and in Greeks and Indians. And then the green says little like the Bible, wide spread of destruction by water. Now you can see that myth or the story as it's been told throughout the continents, and of course in China too. And you'll see that in one of the letter or character that I'll show later on. Yes, so the first part of this program today, I'm gonna do a lecture, just share my knowledge or information, and then later I'm going to do, you know, the practical or a live writing and talk about some more characters. So we'll talk about the historic part of it now. So why Chinese characters? Missionaries in China use Chinese characters to reach out to people. Have you heard of Hudson Taylor? He's not Adventist, but he was one of the most well-known missionary who went to China in early days, I think. I actually read a autobiography of his book, and it was really good. He learned Chinese by reading Chinese Bible. He actually only had a book of Luke in Chinese, and then he compared the English Bible and the Chinese Bible, and he didn't have any other textbook, nothing, no tutor or teacher, but by comparing, you know, each passage by passage, he learned, you know, he guessed what the word would mean, and he learned the grammar structure. He somehow taught himself. Yeah, very, very good way to learn another language, I guess. Anyway, so then he realized, you know, some of these characters seem to be like a symbol of gospel message or a Genesis account. So he's known to have used that knowledge. And also there are other missionaries who went to China, and you'll see their names later. Anyway, so it can help Asian people realize that Christianity is not a mere Westerners' religion that came to Asia recently. Because I'm sure if you've talked to Japanese people, maybe you came across a comment like, well, you know, Christianity is a good religion, I respect it, but it's not ours. You know, we have our own religion, and it's Westerners or white men's religion, and it's nice, but it's not ours, something like that. So I met Japanese people who would say things as such, but you can, you know, show those Chinese character, and we Japanese know those are ancient letters that came from China, and if, you know, we can show them that has some connection with the biblical record, and that shows the biblical concepts, that would be eye-opening experience, right? So I was quite excited when I first heard about it in college. Anyways, so learning about them can help solidify our faith in God's words and help us understand the Chinese/Japanese culture and how to reach out to them. Yes. So not that like Chinese characters are gospel message in itself. We already know the message, and it's actually like a blurry image, footprint, or like a fossil, and it doesn't maybe prove anything because it's still like a hypothesis, but it can help us understand, and it can be like a conversation starter to get Japanese or Chinese people's interest who are not Christians. Anyhow, so let's move on. Okay, so what is the Chinese character? And you can see this, it's transcribed in bone. The earliest Chinese characters were created using pictures or pictographs, which were originally inscribed on bone and then later on bronze and other metals. And these characters eventually developed into calligraphic style that we see today. And I'm sure some of you know that those Chinese characters came from a picture originally. And so it's quite different from the English alphabet, which is just phonetic, that shows the sound and doesn't have meaning of its own in a letter by itself. But these letters were pictures originally. So each letter has a meaning. It's actually similar to Hebrew. I'm not an expert in Hebrew, but I heard each letter represents a sound, but also has a meaning. And so when you read the Hebrew Bible, it almost has like a double meaning. I heard, when they're put together, like three letters put together, when you pronounce them, it means something, but also each letter has like a different meaning. So it has like double meanings sometimes. Yeah, so I would say it's more complicated than Chinese even. Anyhow, moving on. So you can see when it was transcribed on a shell, it looked like this. This means dance, this means woman, this means gate. It already looks like a gate, and this means mother. You can see the bosom. And bronze inscriptions, and then seal style, and it was sealed, ancient square style. That's pretty much like what it looks like today, or more so now. Here, and some people use the cursive way, and then it's really hard to read. Anyhow, so you can see how it developed over time. And so it was kind of like more complicated, and it got simplified. This is something I actually learned in Japanese school. So we learned this, how they used to be pictures and became a character or letters. So if you ask any Japanese kids, they will know about these. These are pretty easy characters. And I would have to say not all of them came from pictures, but many of them did. So as you can see, this is the sun, and it became like this. This is the eye, and tree. We'll talk about this tree, so that's worth remembering. The picture of tree, and it developed and looks like this. Actually, my last name contains that letter. Maeki. Ki is the tree. Anyhow, so but some people might be thinking, well, why is Kuriko talking about Chinese characters? She's not Chinese. Well, we use Chinese characters in Japan, but this is how it came about. So what is kanji? So I'm gonna from now use the term kanji and not say Chinese characters. They're pretty similar, but Chinese characters came to Japan probably via Korean Peninsula. And Chinese characters first came to Japan and official seals, letters, swords, coins, mirrors, and other decorative items imported from China. Yes, back then China was more civilized, and we would get, we were civilized pretty much through China. We were influenced by China in great amount. And so we became pretty much literate through Chinese letters. We didn't have writing system overall. So the earliest known instance of such an import was the King of Na gold seal in 57 AD. yes, goes way back. As I already said, we didn't have any writing system yet. So sometime around 500 AD, groups called Fuhito were formed to read Chinese, classical Chinese, gaining wider acceptance around that time. And so back then, we didn't have our own writing system, and they only used Chinese letters. No hiraganas or katakanas yet. And so the educated people, and the influential people like politicians, samurais, they're well read and they knew how to read these Chinese characters, and gradually spread. And now most of the population are pretty much literate now. Anyhow, so now they're very similar but not the same thing. The Chinese and Japanese languages were and are quite different. Lots of modifications and changes to the pronunciation way and way of writing had to happen in order to fit kanji to the Japanese language. And as you know, you may know if you've heard Chinese people talk, like ni hao ma, xie xie. They have a lot, you know, pronunciation is very different. So when I, you know, converse with Chinese people, and sometimes we can write and communicate by writing those Chinese characters, we don't pronounce them the same way. Somebody taught me how to read my name in their own way of pronunciation. Kuriko, it was like Chongsansu, or I don't remember. Anyway, it was very different. Okay, and the way of writing has changed too. It's interesting. Actually, we retain the original form more, since Chinese people only use the Chinese. They simplify them, and so it's, you know, much quicker to write. So actually, we retain the original form more. We haven't simplified them too much. And so now we're gonna move on to our own alphabet, hiragana and katakana, and many of you probably know what they are, but they're the syllabic scripts, or what we should call phonetic alphabets, because it only symbolizes the sound, like a, I, U, E, O, and doesn't mean anything by itself. And that evolved from kanji. Actually, they were kanjis originally, and they got simplified. And then they only represented the sound. And actually, they were created by ladies. Yeah. Anyhow, being literate with kanji was a sign of highly educated, and still is. And if some of you have students in Japanese school systems, you know, it's very difficult. You know, we don't just learn like 26 letters of alphabet, but in first grade, they have to learn both kanji and hiraganas, and, you know, by itself, it's almost like 100, you know, 50 each. And then on top of it, they have to learn like more than 100 kanjis every year. And by the time you finish high school, you should know more than 3,000 to be able to read newsletter. And, you know, so if you know more kanji, the more educated you are, or you seem to be. Anyways, since I've been away from Japan, sometimes I still struggle. Like, I can understand, but I sometimes don't know how to pronounce them. And so I would make up my own, you know, pronunciation, and they laugh at me. But anyways, let's move on. Okay, so you can see how it looks like. It looked like the traditional Chinese looked like this, in the Japanese format changed a little bit. Some of them are quite different. You can see how it was more complicated, the body, and then got simplified like this. This is simplified Chinese. See, you can see that we still have something inside, and then the simplified Chinese, it's empty here. So it's quite different. Anyway, so we call our characters kanji, and even though they developed from the Chinese characters, they are not exactly the same. Anyhow, so let's talk about the history, the Christian history, how they use the Chinese characters, how missionaries use Chinese characters. And I've mentioned Hudson Taylor, but I learned new names when I've been learning about this topic. Researchers, C.H. Kang and Ethel A. Nelson did an intensive 40-year study on ancient Chinese, and they came across ancient Chinese pictorial writings, which seem to be patterned after some parts of the Hebrew book of Genesis. And they had published their findings in the book titled The Discovery of Genesis, How the Truths of Genesis Were Found and Hidden in the Chinese Language. Now, I wish I had the book, but when I was asked, I didn't have time to order this through Amazon and get it in time. So most of the research I've done via Google. Anyhow, so those missionaries published the book, and there are actually many other publications on this topic, and many websites on this topic, and YouTube videos and so on. You can learn probably much more from those and what I will present today. But anyhow, there were debates about whether this is actually true or not, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but I did see some oppositions or counter opinions. The debate, is it really true? Especially, of course, the atheists and most skeptics would say, well, this hypothesis seems too far-fetched, and why? In the first place, they don't believe in God, or they don't really take the Bible account as the reliable historical account anyway. And so they say, well, this research seems to be just a coincidence, and some of them said, well, these are not Chinese people who wrote the book. They're Westerners who just studied the form of Chinese characters form today, didn't really get into the original pictographs. And it's true. I looked at the list of those Chinese characters that they claim to have links between the Genesis stories. There are more than hundreds, but some of them I wasn't sure. And so some of them are saying, well, this letter may look like, what shall I say, I can't remember. It may look like it's representing such and such, but actually back then it meant some so on. So I only picked the one that seemed to be representing Bible stories or concepts, which seemed more likely, and I picked some groups that had same parts, so it seems to relate with each other. And you can think for yourself, and you can decide for yourself whether it's true or not. And even if not so, it's good to know. I think it's like a good conversation starter if you're talking with Japanese people or Chinese people about the characters. And if they don't know, and yes, they'll be quite impressed about this, something that that they don't know. Anyways, I think that's all I have to present for the lecture part, and I haven't even saved this, so I'll just save it. And let's move on. Let me set up quickly for the live writing sections, and I have some actual Chinese characters to show you. So please spare me a minute. I have to flip this. And where's the camera? Okay, I have to set this on the table. Let me see. Yeah, the problem is that it's a bit dark. Okay, so it looks like I need to move some of my things closer to the camera. Like this. Okay. So as I'm preparing, this is interesting. I used to go to learn Oshuji, Yes, it's called like a Japanese or Chinese calligraphy, but not with pen. We do with brush. Okay, let me see if you can see everything. Oh, it's blurry. Why? Is it blurry for your view too? I don't know.
Yes, a little, Kuriko-san.
Okay, I don't know why I was focusing earlier. Focus. Okay, and I'm sorry it's a bit dark, but we'll have to get by. Anyway, and I'm afraid it's gonna be upside down. I don't know if it's gonna be. Yeah, I'm afraid it's gonna be upside down. So after I write it, I'll flip it. Anyhow, so the first. Okay, so I have this paper. This is like a Japanese calligraphy set. Hello. Okay, so this is called suzuri. It's made out of rock, and normally you would put water here, and then you would actually go like this as the water becomes dark and become an ink. But today I'm gonna cheat and just pour the already made ink. It's not the same ink as what you would use for your pen. I don't know how much I would use. Okay, it's almost 3. I have time till 3:30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I finished the lecture in 20 minutes, so I'm not going over time, I don't think. Live or via Zoom. This is, and I haven't done the calligraphy like with brush and ink for a while, so excuse me if I can't do very well. Let's see. The first one I wanted to do. Let me see. I want to do this one. Okay, so here's my cheat sheet. You know what? Can I ask somebody to read Genesis 2:7? Genesis 2:7. Can somebody read Genesis 2:7 as I get ready? Ooh.
I'll read Genesis 2:7.
Thank you.
And I'm reading from the New King James Version. It
Mm-hmm.
says, "And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being."
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to write this letter. I guess I'll tell you later what it means. So first the stroke goes like this, which means life, okay? And then this, what, da, da, da. Okay, this means dirt. And then, okay, this square thing, this is mouth. Okay, actually I'm supposed to do it all in one and not go back there, but anyway. And then put a dot, and then go, huh, wah, wah, huh. Okay, not very good, but I can read it. Okay, so can anybody guess what this would mean? As I already explained, okay, this is upside down, right? Do I need to show you like this? Is this better?
That's good.
That's
Yes.
the top. Okay, so thank you for reading Genesis 2:7, and then so this part is life, yes, and then this means dirt, okay, and then this square means mouth, and actually those three parts put together is already a character in itself, which means speak. I'll put it up here, or like declare. Okay, not just chatting or blabbing, but to declare and speak. And this
Move it down a little bit. We can't see the top stickers.
oh, okay, I'll move it down a little bit. How's that?
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
Thank you. Yeah.
that's good. Okay, So that's the letter. And this part looks like a path, right? And it means walk. Okay. So here's another anecdote. And so there are other characters containing this part, which is like path or to progress. Okay, so anyone can guess, connect them with what it's being read in the Bible. What do you think this character means or represents? Any idea?
Looks like create. Looks like create.
Gray?
Create.
Oh, create? Okay, very good. Okay, very good guess. So, yes. So this means to create. And it's interesting. This what it looks like no in katakana. I also looked up, and other characters such as live or blood also has this quick stroke. And when you learn Japanese writings, it's not like ABC. It's very important to sometimes stop, sometimes lift, and so on. Anyways, so this shows life, yeah, lively. It goes like that. So this actually is included in a word, creator. Creator has those three, consists of three Chinese characters, and the one in the middle is create. So yes, so this was the first character, and I think this seems pretty believable. It doesn't seem like a coincidence that somebody will come up. When you think of a word create and not knowing the Genesis story, why would you include like dirt or mouth and such parts? So it seems to be pretty believable to me. Anyhow, so okay, this doesn't stick, so I'm gonna make it stick. I'm gonna put it on the wall and continue to do another character. Okay, so this was the first account in the Bible.
Sorry, Kuriko, how do you read that kanji?
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't show you how to pronounce. And not like Chinese. I think Chinese people only pronounce it one way, but the way we pronounce kanjis, it's complicated because when they're put together, we call it sozo nushi. So we can read it zo, but that's only one way to read it. And then if we write other hiraganas underneath, we can read, I think you put do. If you put do underneath, then you read it tsukuru, which means to make or to create. Tsukuru. I think that's easier, more simple words. Tsukuru. And there are many other characters that talks about producing something or making something, crafting something, but this is particularly to create. So tsukuru, or another way to read, I think it's omyomi. Anyways, it's zo. But when you tell Japanese people zo, there are many other things that's called zo, like elephant, so it's too confusing. You can say tsukuru no tsuku or sozo nushi no zo. Anyway, so usually one kanji has like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 different ways to pronounce them. Yeah, which makes Japanese language kind of complicated. Anyhow, let's move on to another character that's found in Genesis. Yes, so would somebody read Genesis 3:3? Is it too high? I'm going to bring it lower.
Okay, read it.
Would somebody read Genesis 3:3?
I'll read it from the Geneva version.
Genesis 3:3. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die.
Yes. Okay, I've not seen the screen, but I think I recognize the voice. Is it Daniel?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Daniel. And then I'm gonna write this letter. So this is, I already gave you, and I already said earlier, this form or this letter you'll see later. So that was a hint. So here, ooh, okay. How am I doing? Let's see. So there are two of them. And then, okay. And go down and jump. And then from here, go like this and top. Okay. Now, okay, so this is done. You can't see this side, right? I have my cheat sheet over here. Anyway, so I'm gonna flip it over so it's not upside down. Can you see the whole letter? Is it placed right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Genesis 3:3. What did I say this represents? What does it represent by itself?
That's true.
This one. It's contained in my last name, Maeki.
Tree.
Yes, keep. So there are two trees. Anyway, so by itself, this means wood. No, wait, wood. And then when you put three of them, it means forest. Yes. Anyhow, but this is, there are two trees. Actually, don't think about it as woods. There are two trees, and you can think of, two significant trees in the Bible or in Genesis. And then what does this bottom part represent? The bottom part represents God. Yes, it's not a coincidence. Nobody can argue that. It's in original form because today it looks somewhat different. So this means God today, but back then this was God. And so the simplified version, just the left half of it is at the bottom, but basically this is something of divinity or divine God. Anyhow, so there are two trees, and then God said. So how would you guess? What does this character represent, do you think? Any idea? Any wild guess? The Genesis 3:3 is the hint.
Is it forbidden?
Garden. Garden.
Pardon me?
Garden.
Garden? Okay, garden? Yes, it could be garden. Yeah, I almost wanted to choose the character garden. Maybe I can do it, but it was okay. Then I think I heard another one. Somebody else saying forbidden. Yes, maybe somebody already know. Is it Pastor Mark?
No,
Elder Roland.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you must know. Anyway, so this means forbidden. Yes. Okay. So it's hard, I think, to say that this was a coincidence. God talking about two trees, and one was, I'm assuming, there's no evidence, but I'm assuming one was the tree of, right, the knowledge of right and evil, and then the other one was the tree of life. Yeah, because first this was forbidden. After they sinned, and then the tree of life was forbidden too. Not that so they won't live forever after they sinned. Interesting. Anyway, so there are two trees, and actually there's I think there's another character that has this parts, two trees. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna put it on the wall so you will see it later. Okay, so get another paper, and I'm gonna have somebody else read. I should have done this one first. It's Genesis 3:2. Okay, so it's just the verse before. That one.
Could I read, please?
Yes, would you read Genesis 3 too?
Is it okay if I read it in Japanese?
Oh, Japanese, fine too. Yes, please. 日本語でもいいですよ。
白尾に答えた私たちは海の木の実を食べてもよいのです。
And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit of the trees of the garden.
Was it Matthew who read it in Japanese?
No, Mikuni-chan.
Oh, Minori-chan?
It's Jasmine.
Thank you. Yes, it was nice to hear it in Japanese too. Okay, good to know that the children are watching too. Yes, you're learning these kanjis at Japanese school. If you are, I think it's pretty interesting. Anyways, okay. I don't know if this is same. Okay, so I'm gonna try. So the first okay, I did it too quickly. You're supposed to end this like this. Okay, so and stroke. Okay, so 2 trees. So it's about the same account, Genesis, 3, but it's now forbidden. You put, instead of God, you put, that was not a good end, something else. Okay. Now, so here's another character, and as you already know, this means 2 trees. Yes, and then the bottom part, I think any first grader would know this letter. What is it?
Woman.
Yeah, onna, right? Oh, I'm sorry. The other one that I just did forbidden, I didn't tell you how to pronounce it. It was king. Yeah, like kimshi, and that means forbidden, king. And this one, oh no, this one I think I'm not sure how to read it. This one I didn't learn. Anyway, so the bottom part is woman, and then the top part, 2 trees, and this happened in the same place as the other character. So what would you say this character means? What do you think? Any guess? Oh, excuse me. This is actually a verb that relates with a woman and something inward. That this is how the woman or Eve was tempted in the Garden of Eden, and how did she feel? Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so I'll put the answer is to covet or to desire. Yes. So unfortunately, it was woman first, who looked at the fruit and desired it, wanted to eat it and looked at desirable and good to eat. So she ate it, and you know the rest of the story. So, how do you read this? I'm not sure. Sorry, con maybe or something like that. Anyhow, so the one I showed you earlier, this one, to forbid, and the other one, to desire, has same parts that says tree. So, as many missionaries or Christian researchers say, it doesn't seem coincident, that it has 2 trees, the same parts. Those, and the meaning, goes back to Genesis 3, 2 or 3, 3. Oh, I would have to. Okay, you know what? I'll show you what's happening. I've been putting it on the wall, but I stained the wall, so let me clean it. Mom will get mad. Let's see. Not mad. So I will not put it on the wall right away. I hope it comes off. Oh, it comes off. Good. Okay, so Where is newspaper? Here's newspaper. I'll put it on newspaper and later put it up when I'm all done. Whenever, I can stop anytime when you say time's up, and then I'll put all of them up on the wall. So let's try them on the newspaper. Okay, so I have more time, right? Let me pull another sheet of paper and do another. Okay, should be the shiny, smooth side. Okay. There are many I want to do. How many did I prepare? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I wanted to go in order in Genesis, but just in case I don't want to run out of time and not do this one. So I want to do the one that's most important, I think. Would somebody read John 1:29? John 1:29. Okay, it's still a bit blurry. And here's my cheat sheet. That's better. Okay, would somebody read John 1:29?
I've got it.
I read.
Thank you.
The next day, John saith, Jesus coming unto him and saith, Behold the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world.
Thank you very much. So, this is pretty much the only one that's not found in Genesis, but I'm sure what happened in the forefathers' time or the Genesis time has a hint. I was trying to look for the biblical account. Maybe we can ask Pastor Mark. Anyway, I'm going to start. So the first part goes like this. Has 2 horns, and it goes 1, 2, 3, and normally it would go all the way, but it stops here in this case. And then 2. Okay, actually, I'm not sure about the order. Japanese people, they're picky about like which stroke is supposed to come first. I'm not quite sure, but it's important. Like when you go like this, I've been taught that you're still writing in the air, which makes me think of like how our spiritual life should be too. Like what shows on our lives on the paper, and even when our lives are private or thinking life or how we feel, that still continues. Anyway, that's what my Japanese calligraphy teacher taught me. It's not, don't stop when you lift up your brush. You're still like writing in the air as you continue from start to finish. Anyways, so here's another letter. I'm gonna put it upside down and up. So the hint is the top half part, as I said, the 2 horns. So this means like a lamb or a sheep. And the bottom, actually, it consists of different parts. But anyway, in short, that this whole thing means self. So you are putting lamb above self. So what would this mean? Anyone? John 1:29.
Justice?
Righteousness.
Righteousness. Somebody must have known or have a good sense of kanji already. Thank you. So bingo, righteousness. And yeah, this one is my favorite. And also it was Hudson Taylor, Mr. Hudson Taylor, who was a famous missionary to China. This was his favorite too. He used this character often to reach out to people, and even Chinese people didn't have an idea why the letter sheep was included in the word that means righteousness. Imagine if you didn't know anything about the Bible, when you think of righteousness, would you think of a sheep? I mean, I don't think it was a coincidence. So anyways, and I was reading up on website that talked about Chinese characters, which was not by a Christian. And so they say in ancient China, a lamb was like a symbol of sacrifice. And so this lamb appears in a lot of characters. It's a part of a lot of characters. But how did it end up? So like a symbol of sacrifice in China. It's just a hypothesis, but the roots could have been in the Bible, right? Anyways, and there's so many other characters that has this part. So anyway, righteousness. And before someone asks, we can read this. Gi. Yeah. I think there's only one way to read this. It's gi. Yeah. So righteousness. Gi. And often this term is very well known in Adventist church. Shinko ni yoru gi. And that's righteousness by faith. Shinko is righteousness. Shinko is faith. And ni yoru is by. And gi is righteousness. So yes, it's a long word in English, but we can just put it, make it compact in one letter. Very mitsu. Anyway, so that's my favorite as well. If you don't have time, to go on and on with many characters with your colleagues or friend, at least I think you can show them this one. And Pastor Mark, or anyone, I was trying to look for an account in Genesis, like before the Tower of Babel time, to show that it was the lamb or sheep that was slain. Like when they first sinned and the animal was killed and they were covered with the skin, or Abel and Cain and Abel had to sacrifice. But I was reading, I couldn't find that it was a sheep. It said animal, but was there any other account or maybe a different version of the Bible that says in Genesis before the Tower of Babel? Or maybe it can be our homework.
Actually, it's pretty clear in Genesis 4.
Mm-hmm.
It says, the course of time, verse 3, Cain brought an offering to the Lord of the fruit of the ground. Abel, on his part, also brought of the firstlings of his flock and the fat of their portion. And a flock was not a flock of birds, it's a flock of sheep.
Okay, so you said it was Genesis, 4?
Chapter 4, chapter 4 and verse 4.
Okay, yes, I read flock, and then, we know as Christians that it was, we can guess that it's sheep, but I wanted to find the word sheep to show non-Christians if possible. But anyway, so I'll put Genesis 4:4.
Kuriko?
Yes.
If I can just come in. I'm just looking at Strong's, which is it has the original, Hebrew and Greek.
Ah.
And the original Hebrew, if you look in Strong's, the word is tson. And it actually means small cattle, sheep, and flocks.
Ah.
So if you look at the original language, the sheep does come through there.
Ah. Okay, so now it's clear. Thank you.
You can also mention it's linked to the word shepherd.
Ah.
Sheepfold.
Wow.
So even though it's linked with goats and small cattle, it seems to be a strong connection with sheep, because you've got shepherd, lamb, sheepfold. It's all related. Sheep shearers, or sheep coats. It's all connected to this one word. Use it.
Also, in the Japanese, Kuriko, if you look at the word flock, mure.
Oh, that's true.
Sheep is in the mure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm gonna add that. So I love this. If I was studying by myself, I wouldn't have known. So I love it.
On the right side of the character mure is sheep.
Yes, I'm just writing it out. I don't have my brushy pen right now, but I'll just do it like this, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So this is good. I'm just learning as I go. So thank you very much for the intervention. And shall I go on? Do I still have time, or I
We
have
still have
about
time. Actually, afternoon program is until 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay, so I think I can do all. Okay, good. So thank you so much. Now it's clear that that it's not just in John, but in Genesis, that this was not just any flock of like goats or other animals, but it was sheep. Looking up both concordance and even the Chinese character itself, as Pastor Mark reminded us, it has the sheep, it means flock. Yeah, it wasn't any other animal. So yeah, it seems to have a strong connection with Genesis story. What Abel chose. Anyhow, so putting Christ above ourselves is very important. And so we serve him, and he's our king. He's number one. In our lives, I think this is, supposed to look like this. Sometimes it's upside down many times, and we'll have to daily choose to put him first. Anyhow, so this was very good. I learned something new. Okay, let's now put it on the wall, put it down, so it doesn't stay in the wall. Okay, let's get another paper. This is very exciting, studying with other Bible scholars. Anyhow, so here's another famous one that many people talk about who are into the subject, and it doesn't seem like a coincidence. So another famous story, and so would somebody read Genesis 7:13? Genesis 7:13.
Genesis 7:13.
Mm-hmm.
On the very same day, Noah and Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them entered the ark.
Yes. Okay. So we don't have to read the rest of the story. So I just chose this part because the who went in the boat is very important. So as I write this, it has 3 components. Okay. So it goes like this, goes down and jump. It's just a dot. It goes straight, and from here goes this way and top. Lands here, go like this. I'm trying to make it all connected as I've been taught. Okay, so it's not perfect, but here is the character. And okay, yeah, let me put it upside down. Okay, and let's take it apart, dissect it part by part. So this part, it's called heng, which is like a narrow part on the left. And this basically means a boat or like a vessel. Okay. So not a big one, but like the small kind, that goes on like in Nokashira Park, Nokashira Pond, or like a canoe, small one. Anyhow, and then this is a number. Yes. And basically this is number 8. And this one already appeared in the character we did earlier, to create. Do you remember what this means?
It means mouth.
Mouth, yes. Yeah. Very easy to remember, right? Because it looks like an open mouth. Yes, learned in 1st grade. And so, but actually it's used for other things. Mouth, but also it's used for counting people. For example, this is person and then mouth, and put together, this word is jinko, which means population. Yeah, so when you're counting people, sometimes you use this letter. You count mouths, you don't count eyes, right? Because that's doubled. Anyway, so there were 8 people in this vessel or boat. So what is this character? What do you think this means?
A ship?
Ship, yes. Okay, somehow I ended up putting boat and ark, but ship would have been more accurate. Anyhow, so it's a bigger, bigger than a boat, and that's how we still use it today in Japan. This, is for a big ship that would, go across the Pacific Ocean, and this one is like a little boat that goes on the pond and lakes. Anyhow, so that's actually hard. I think difficult to argue that was coincidental. There were 8 people on the boat. Who were they? I think we already read them. So let's count. So the first one is Noah, of course, and then Noah's wife, and then how many sons do they have?
3.
Okay, wait. Am I doing the math right? Oh, yeah, 3. And then they all were married, so 3 wives. And then put together, how many were there? 8, yes. So, yes, we're doing the math. Thank you. Was it Minori or Matthew or somebody else?
Matthew.
Thank you. So nice. Yeah, I wish I could see everybody in person. But anyways, this is actually cool. Doing something like this could have been more difficult in person, I guess, if possible. But yeah, nice that I can do this at home. Would have been, a lot to carry over there. So anyhow, so this is a very good one to share. We can say there were 8 people on the boat, and not only that, as I showed you in the map, the story of flood is being told, in every continent. So it seems very believable. Anyhow, I wanted to do another. There are a few other that had the part sheep. Yeah, I like this one. This one, very. Okay, so let us read. Would somebody read Genesis 4? Oh, I'm sorry. I always forget to tell you how we pronounce this. This is Hune. Hune. Yes. And sometimes when it's put together with another character, it's called sen, like sendo, as a what do you call that? Captain. But anyway, usually it's Hune. Anyhow, moving on. We have time till 4. So would somebody read Genesis 4:4?
Could I read it, please?
Yes.
Abe ha Hitsuji no nare no nakaから越えた海を持ってきた比喩は、あれはその捧げ物に目をめられたが。
Abel brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat, and the Lord respected Abel and his offering.
Yes, thank you. So actually, this proves, that the flock was sheep. But anyhow, so I'm going to write, and the first part's gonna look familiar. It has 2 horns. Okay, which one goes first? I actually forgot. I will do first 3 first. It may not be correct. But anyway, so this, if you go all the way down, that becomes sheep by itself, but has a bottom part, so I have to stop it here. And then the last half by itself, the first graders may know what this character is, the bottom part. But put together, the third graders learn this, I think. Now I'm teaching at elementary school, remembering when we learned them. Anyways, so the first part, the top half was, I already said so. sheep and lamb. Actually,
Beautiful dahil na ko ni Kanji.
yeah. The bottom half. Any Japanese kids who go to Japanese school know the bottom half. What does it mean? Da.
Big.
I
Big.
think I have the English word.
Oki.
Oki. Yes, oki, right? Yes. So oki means big. So yes, it does relate with the verse that was just read, but what does it actually mean? Ooh, I think I forgot to write it. So what does this mean actually?
That's not beautiful.
It's beautiful, yes. Okay, so I forgot to have that translation, so I'm gonna just write it. It must be somewhere. I remember writing it, but I don't have everything together. Okay, I don't know where it is, so I'm gonna just write it. Beauty. Okay, beauty. Okay, so I was looking for the origin of this letter, and this was also I found several websites that says non-Christian authors, but they're saying that the big, and fat offering, the lamb given to God was considered to be like the most beautiful things, or people who were sacrificing, the best, biggest sheep was the most beautiful scene, or something like that, and this was like a concept that was common in China. And so I was, awestruck, almost like, wow, it cannot be a coincidental. Because, again, like if you don't know anything about the Bible, if you don't know any of this Christian concepts, and when you think of beauty, if somebody asked me, what would be like a symbol or icon of beautiful, I would think maybe flower, or like sky, or feathers, or something like that, wouldn't be a fat big sheep. So yeah, very interesting. Anyway, so they said that the fact that human is trying to give their best sacrifice, the biggest, to God, is a beautiful thing. And so this is beauty. Yes, and this is read B. Yes. Also, sometimes it's pronounced me, and found in many girls' names, at the end, like Akemi, could be Minori, but
Minori, yes.
and I don't know if that's the letter that's used, because
That's the one we use. Minori recognized it.
This is for Minori?
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful, yes. So this is sacrifice. Beautiful. Hey, yes. So, let's see. I still have time. So I want to do another one that has that sheep part. And this, I thought it was also interesting that this concept, or this abstract concept, would have a concrete thing like animal, the sheep. So would somebody read Genesis 3:21? Genesis 3:21.
I'll read Genesis 3:21.
Thank you.
Geneva version. Unto Adam also and to his wife did the Lord God make coats of skins and clothed them.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let me write this. Thank you very much, Daniel. I think I'm gonna write. So again, the top part has the okay. Now that's sloppy. But, okay, continue a little bit. So that was the sheep, as you know. And but that's not horn. That's supposed to be two handles. And wa, okay, it's supposed to be a knife. And then, as everybody know, well, by now I hope, what is this? It's upside down, but it's a square, so it's a, this is a
Mouth.
mouth. Thank you. Yes, I was waiting for that. Okay, it's a little bit skewed to the where's the right, but anyhow. Okay, so this one was a little bit hard to reason out, but let's see. Some Christians had their own explanation. As you know, the top part is lamb. And what did I say? That those two are not horns, but two handles. And this long line was
Knife.
knife. Knife. Yes. So and the bottom was mouth. Anyhow, and then with the verse that was read, how would you guess what this character means?
Sacrifice?
Sacrifice? No, but good guess, yes. And there's another character that
How about
means
clothes?
sacrifice. But this one, clothes, like to cover, clothes. Well, very similar to righteousness. It's not, we don't have it, but because of, you know, what the Lamb has done, or what God did after they sinned, I think we don't have this on our own, but it's God's.
Good or virtue?
Good, yes, goodness. And I also saw virtue. Okay, so they're similar. Goodness, virtue, very good. And Christian people, they want to say that, this was the knife that God used. Maybe it wasn't a knife, but something to cut he had to use, probably, to kill that lamb that was the first sacrifice on earth, to cover the people who sinned, Adam and Eve, and then he declared, what's going to happen. Although Adam and Eve and serpent will be cursed, but in the end, the Messiah will be born, or crush the snake and so on. So that was declared by mouth. Now, some people are more skeptical, or some say, oh, actually, this is the Chinese people saying, two handles showing balance. It's like a scale, and it's like a judgment or something like that. Anyway, it has different origins. But I thought it interesting, the word goodness also includes the lamb. No one can argue that this is a lamb, a sacrificial lamb. So yeah, it seems to relate with other characters that also had sheep, like righteousness and also beauty. That was for sure, because even the Chinese people agreed that that was like a big sacrifice, and that was a beautiful thing, best thing human can do or something. So anyway, I think I have one more, and that seems okay. I have actually more. Okay, well, this one is very complicated. I didn't practice. I hope I can write this. And I'm going to ask someone read this. Genesis 3:1. Yeah. Same story. We had several characters coming out of this chapter. Would somebody read Genesis 3:1 kindly?
Could I read, please?
Yes.
Okay. シーなる神が作られたの、の息ののさで、のいちで、持つと、 Mokashiko ino wa hebi de atsuta. Hebi wa onna ni tsuta. Sono no dono ki kara mo tabete wa ikenai nadoto kami wa iwareta no ga.
Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Yes, thank you very much. So, when I learned about this character, I was like, wow, this can't be coincidence. So it's pretty exciting. Very complicated. I don't think I've ever done this with the calligraphy brush, so I'll try. So first is a dot, and then goes like this, okay? And then you will see the familiar parts. You've seen this twice already, so without explanation, you would already know. Okay, the end is splitting to dry. Okay, so now the last part. Ooh, the tricky part. Yeah. And then go like this, top, and jump, and then yes, go. Ooh. Okay, it's getting dry. It has, okay, the brush has split in, sorry. Okay, but you can still read it. Okay, so that I think was the most complicated Chinese character of the day. And not a very pleasant one. Okay, so let me do the explanation. The first part, yeah, it's sort of like, you know, surrounded or like fenced, but open in some way. So this part is called not called, but it means garden, okay? And I just wrote this up. By itself, it's not a character. It's just, you know, it's included in many characters that has something to do with the garden. So I just remembered this is the character actually, which means garden. So I'll put it right here. Anyway, so this, you know, suggests that it has something to do with the garden. And then as you already know, what are these two characters or the parts?
Trees.
Trees, yes. And then, you know, as we know, they're not just any trees or woods, but what trees in the garden? There are two. Those that were forbidden.
2 trees.
The knowledge of good.
The knowledge of good and
Yes,
evil.
the knowledge. That one with knowledge of good and evil, and the other special tree was?
The tree of life.
Yes, the tree of life. You know, sometimes I think, you know, maybe just one was enough. But anyway, but there's two particular trees that stand out, you know, in the garden, and all other trees are anonymous. So I think that's why there are two trees. Anyhow, but at the time it was happening around that tree of good and evil. And then the bottom one, if I say Oni, you might recognize what this is. What is Oni? Anyone know what Oni is?
Demon.
Demons, yes. Yeah, you know, like in Japan, we throw like soybeans. That's in Setsubun time, in February, on February 3rd. And I think Pastor Mark is more familiar. I think he once told us a very interesting story at Weimar. You know, how a lot of our customs has something to do with spirituality, and this is one of them. You know, people throw soybeans at demons, and it has something to do with spiritualism. But anyhow, so the demons, or monster, yeah, Oni, yeah, the scary creature. So So when they're all put together in the garden and they're fruit trees, and those are, you know, monsters. And so they're not like a particular monster or only, just any anonymous one. But when they're put together, what would this mean?
Temptation?
Temptation, very good, very close, you know. Yes, that was a very good guess, or maybe you already knew the answer. The answer is tempter. Tempter, yes. It's called ma, and there is a term in Japanese, we say magasasu. Yeah, when we say magasasu, that means we're tempted. And put together with another character means evil. Evil tempter is devil or Satan, yeah, with a capital S. So when I learned this, I was like, wow, this, you know, seems to retain the Genesis story very well. Yes, you know, in the garden by the tree, there was a devil, you know, who was a tempter. And that was evil, you know, which is Satan. So, yes, it seems very biblical. So, I think I would end here, and I want to put, to show the other side of the house too much. And I want to put up all the, oh, I found beauty now. Yeah, I found it, it was on the floor. Okay, so let's start putting and maybe group it together, I guess, so that one goes there. And then also this has the part that says sheep, so I'm gonna move this one down. Can you remember there was another one that had a sheep on top, which was big? What was that? What was that one?
Beauty.
Beauty.
Beauty. Beauty, yes, beauty. I like this one. It's beautiful to give sacrifice to God, the best gift to the Lord. So, and this missing piece was found. Let's see. So those are, you know, they are the same family. I'm gonna move it back. So, okay. Yeah, if you are to see this room right now, it's quite interesting. I got like a little desk on top of another desk. Let's see. And here's another group that seems to be in the same family. The first one we did was, oh, you can't see. Maybe I need to change. You know what? I can't change the height of this.
If you just tilt your screen down, Kuriko, I don't know if you can do that if you're on a laptop.
This is a maybe.
There you go. Yeah, there we go.
The thing is, I would have to hold it. Yeah, if I have to lean it, it only leans that way. Anyway, I'll just hold it down later. As I'm putting it, I don't have an assistant. So anyway, this was to covet and to desire. And what was the other character? Oh, the other character that we just did, that also has two trees. What was the last one? Anyone remember?
Tempter.
Tempter, very, yes, tempter, very good, the scary looking one. So I'm gonna put it here. Let's see, do I have more room? Yeah, I have more room on the right. Okay, so I only have two more, so they will all fit. Yeah, they don't belong in any category. Okay. So, here they are. Yeah, so you can see, I guess we did 8. That's pretty much what I plan to do. So very interesting, you know, as I was doing this, I learned a lot, and there are so many more characters out there that, you know, claim to be representing biblical ideas or Genesis stories. And, you know, we're not sure, 100% sure, but it seems to be resembling, you know, those little parts seem to tell us stories of the Bible. And so it's not just foretold down the generations in the Middle East country of Israel, but also in different parts of the world, and as old as in Chinese history or Chinese characters. And I would like to know more. And thank you, Pastor Mark and Daniel, for helping me to confirm that. Which one was it? That one, yes, righteousness. That ship on top, the sheep that was not just any flock, but it was a sheep. Oh, anyhow, so I learned a lot. Thank you very much, everyone. Also, children, for participating. So as you learn these characters at your school, you can share with your classmates, something about these kanjis that most Japanese people don't learn in public schools. So thank you very much, everyone. And I guess we can unmute and talk, I guess. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Thank you, Kuriko-san.
ありがとう、勉強しまして。
Thank you, Kuriko-san.
You're welcome. That was fun.
Bye-bye.
Now I can see everybody's face. Hi.
Bye.
It was too short. I hope you can do it again.
Bye-bye.
Yes.